Do you know that some historians claim that the beginning of World War II occurred in 1937, when Japan invaded China, rather than when Germany invaded Poland? During 1939 to 45, practically every country was involved in the Second World War. The main fighters were the Axis countries, Germany, Italy, and Japan, and the Allies, France, the United Kingdom, the United States, and the Soviet Union, and, to a lesser extent, China. In many ways, the war was a continuation of the unresolved issues left by World War I. World War II was the bloodiest and largest war in history, with an estimated 40 million to 50 million deaths. Hello everyone, today's video will keep you up with the events of World War II. Remember to subscribe to our channel. Without further ado, let's start. Let me warn you, it is the largest armed conflict in human history, a lethal war involving tens of millions of fighters from all around the world. Watch at your own risk. Let us go through the major events of World War II. Germany and its allies were defeated at the end of World War I. They were blamed for the war's outcome, with severe penalties imposed on them. The Austro-Hungarian and Ottoman empires were demolished. Germany was forced to repay what many regarded as an unfair debt. Its colonies and some of its possessions were surrendered to the victors and to the newly formed Poland. The German people took these punishments as humiliation. The German economy was damaged by heavy debt and was experiencing hyperinflation. National mints tried to find the solution to this by issuing banknotes. However, it caused the currency to devalue between November 1914 and November 1923. The mark's value increased by 1,000 billion the next year, and drastic steps were implemented to contain inflation and stabilize the economy. However, the 1929 Wall Street crash in New York produced the worst economic catastrophe of the 20th century. Its effects were felt all over the world, even in Germany, where it caused the unemployment rate to skyrocket. In 1933, there was a rise in nationalism in Germany. This made it possible for the Nazi Party, led by Adolf Hitler, to come to power. Even though Germany had to follow strict rules after World War I, the new totalitarian government resets the country and brought back military service. The country also started an aggressive foreign policy to unite everyone who spoke German. Despite its victory with the Allies, Italy felt dissatisfied with the amount of land it obtained after World War I. Since 1922, the totalitarian fascist party of Benito Mussolini ruled the country. Italy launched a colonial program by capturing Ethiopia and planned an attack on Albania in the future. In Spain, a 3-year civil war broke out between the Republican administration, which was backed by the Soviet Union and the International Brigades, and the Nationalist camp, which was backed by Italy and Germany. Both countries' militaries were put to the test, and diplomatic ties were made stronger. In Asia, Japan maintained its expansionist policy, taking advantage of China's civil conflict to attack additional regions. The Japanese army used chemical and biological weapons and massacred civilians. Germany was now strong enough to start expanding its territory. Austria would be the first country it took over, with the help of the Nazi Party. The west of Czechoslovakia was then invaded. The Slovak Republic became a satellite state of Germany, and diplomatic ties between Germany and Hungary were strengthened. Germany signed a non-aggression pact with the USSR and a plan to break up Europe after it took over part of Lithuania. Then it attacked Poland, which led the UK and France to declare war and start World War II. Even though German forces were concentrated in the east, Allied troops did not take the initiative in the west. Instead, France and the United Kingdom attempted to disrupt the critical iron ore pipeline. In response, Germany invaded Denmark and Norway. The country took over Luxembourg, the Netherlands, and Belgium within a few days. Hitler's new military strategy was known as Blitzkrieg. It involved surprising opposing defenses with fast, high-intensity attacks in a condensed area. British soldiers retreated in the face of his German military supremacy, and the German army advanced on Paris. The French army had been defeated, and an armistice had been signed. Germany controlled areas to the north and west of France, leaving the rest of the country's territory and colonies under the jurisdiction of the new administration. Germany had indirect influence over French possessions without sending an army there. However, parts of the French colonies in the Belgian Congo chose to remain in the Allied camp in London, which already hosted numerous governments in exile. General Charles de Gaulle established Free France, who kept fighting against Nazi Germany. The Soviet Union took over the Baltic countries and a part of Romania. At the same time, Germany, Italy, and Japan formed the Axis powers. All British colonies and dominions except Ireland joined the war. Fighting erupted in Africa between Italian colonies and Allied forces. While in Europe, despite the significant aerial bombing of British cities, Germany could not seize control of the country. Hitler then changed his intentions, deciding to invade the Soviet Union. Still, the plan was disturbed when Italy failed to invade Greece and was forced to retreat by Allied forces. After Hungary, Romania, and Bulgaria joined the Axis powers, German armies moved south to take over Yugoslavia and Greece. Guerrilla groups in Eastern Europe were weakening Axis militaries in Yugoslavia and Greece, where extreme communist and royalist parties struggled. Even though attempts to kill Hitler failed, Germany was not safe from the anti-Nazi resistance. The US launched the largest military campaign in history to attack the Soviet Union, which joined the side of Allied forces. The majority of the German troops, well-equipped and motorized, raced east. Allies invaded Iran to support the Soviets, opening a supply path through the Caucasus. German soldiers arrived in Leningrad and began an 872-day siege that killed over 1 million civilians. Further south, German troops were stopped at the gates of Moscow. They endured harsh winters behind the front lines. Japan ruled French Indochina. The United States put an oil and steel embargo on it to stop it from expanding. As a result, the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor without warning. The US joined the Allies after aerial bombing destroyed much of its naval fleet. They focused initially on the Pacific Front. The USSR, while fighting German advances, received supplies from the country. Japan conquered the Pacific area. Japanese labor camps held millions of Chinese citizens. Allied prisoners even built a Burma-Thailand railway. The Japanese army also imprisoned hundreds of thousands of women. Jews, resistance fighters, political opponents, gypsies, homosexuals, and disabled people were killed at European prisons and extermination camps. Hitler built the Atlantic Wall because he feared a second front in Europe. It was a network of military structures meant to protect the coast from an invasion by the Allies, who first landed in Morocco and Algeria. Italian Libya was stuck between two fronts after it lost control of its colonies, and Vichy France was attacked. In the east, Axis forces tried to cut off the Caucasus supply route. But when the German offensive took its first significant military loss, the Soviets took the lead and started a counterattack. All of Africa was now in the hands of the Allies. The new Italian government asked for an armistice, so the Germans went into Italy. The USSR moved quickly to the west, forcing the German army to focus on that front as the Allies arrived in Normandy on June 6, 1944. Their soldiers quickly took over and freed Paris in the west. The Allied powers formed the United Nations and invited countries that declared war on Germany and Japan to its inaugural session. This led to a rush of declarations of war, but no actual fighting occurred. On April 30th, immediately before the arrival of the Soviets, Hitler committed suicide. The country surrendered 8 days later. To defeat the Japanese Empire, the United States and the Soviet Union joined forces. The Soviet Union launched a military invasion of Manchuria. At the same time, the United States unleashed 2 atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki on August 15th, ending World War II. After 6 years of conflict, the human toll was high, with at least 60 million people killed. The majority of them were civilians. Many cities had been entirely destroyed. Europe and the USSR subjected millions of Germans to bonded labor. Germany and Austria were among the victorious. The US and USSR became global superpowers as war exhausted and destroyed European states. That's all, guys. I hope you found this video informative. Remember to subscribe to my channel for more exciting videos. Thank you for watching.